point that the head of Niti Aayog recently brought about, his statements initially. He said that in India we are too much of a democracy. So we keep supporting everybody. Hi. So looking at an article where from Reddit Business, it talks about does Modi want small companies to fail? So this article is by Akar Patel, who's a journalist, famous journalist, but he's also anti-Modi. So the whole sentiment out here in this article will be slightly anti-Modi. So let's try to look at it in terms of the article. So what is the points he talks about? So he brings about a point that the head of Niti Aayog recently brought about, his statements initially. He said that in India we are too much of a democracy. So we keep supporting everybody. That's what the statement made. I mean, the whole argument that came across, and there was a controversy saying that the Niti Aayog head made an argument saying India we are too much of a democracy. But I think what uh, Akar Patel wants to try to talk about is the second part. So we keep supporting everybody. So he wants to lay emphasis on this, saying this is more important point than the earlier statement about democracy. I mean, and he tries to explain that. So he's saying that the head of media continues saying that it's the first time that a government has thought big in terms of size and scale. So he says he wants to produce global champions, so companies that can conquer the world. That's what he's looking at. And he's saying nobody in the past looked at that. So nobody had a political will to say let's have 5 companies who can be global champions. Forget everyone supporting else. I mean, if you look at if we want the economy to grow, we need big corporates and big companies. Maybe looking at maybe the US where you have big companies and big corporates and which are global champions, and that's what has made US economy really big. So that is where maybe this comes across where we support big companies and try to make it really big. That's what it is. But I don't think we can really compare with the US because US has a very strong business support for everyone, right from the bottom to top, and they have big companies that have evolved over a period of time. Anyway, so everyone used to say, I want to support everyone. So all the previous political parties used to say that we will support all the smaller companies as well, and that is important. But the new government is saying that no, we'll only support the big companies, and this is coming from Niti Aayog head, and he is the PM think tank on the economy, explaining strategy of Modi government. So he's what is the mouthpiece of what the government thinks. So this is what could be the idea behind it. Coming further, so it also talks about that India has too many small companies and that creates inefficiency. So when you're a smaller company, like smaller farmlands, like smaller companies, you need more labor, there's more inefficiency, you can't put automated machines and a lot of negativity. So it creates a lot of inefficiency as such. So yeah, if you compare with China, China is trying to create big organizations with efficiencies in manufacturing, etc. So in that way, if you look at it, yes, I think having bigger companies than smaller companies would be much more beneficial to the overall economic perspectives. But looking at other perspectives, that India has a huge population, focusing on bigger companies could hamper employment and other aspects. So you need to look at both perspectives. So he's saying that the whole idea is to ensure we have a handful of large players. Government has taken steps. So he's talking of government is focusing on ensuring that there are few big players in the market, and he's talking about what steps the government has taken so that it helps the big players and puts the small players aside. What he's trying to put across is any government policy which pushes the smaller players away will definitely definitely support the big players. It'll help. Moment the smaller players out of the market, the big players will benefit. Right? So to make it difficult for small and medium sized industries to compete, so the steps taken is making it difficult for small and medium sized companies. That's what. So maybe the farm laws is sort of in that direction where you want big corporates to come and take the farm produce and maybe put the small and medium sized traders in between to move aside. So the whole idea is to have big companies and big corporates of a bigger size. So he said the called formalization. He means it formalization. So he's saying the first thing that happened was they assumed that all the small and medium business entities are all tax thieves. So they deal with cash and they deal with tax, that means they evade taxes. and evade taxes. So that means they cheat the government of taxes, and they can be called as tax thieves. I mean, so there's an underground economy which was there. There's a huge amount of underground economy. So they want to remove the underground economy and saying that everyone should pay tax. And they're saying this all small and medium entities don't pay enough tax to the government. Okay, and they cheat on that. So first test was to remove the cash, and he started with demonetization, which was on Tuesday, November 8, 2016. First step. The moment the cash was removed and demonetization happened, who were the ones who suffered the most? The smaller businesses suffered the most. The bigger companies had no problem. They had electronic transfer and they could still deal with it. But the smaller companies found it really difficult to deal with the whole demonetization process, and they suffered a loss. The first step in the series of steps that the government has taken. The second step he took was GST. GST implementation itself is good, but he said the whole implementation was so complicated and it required so many people. I mean, if I want to implement GST, I required a team of people just to implement people. I remember one more person who said that he had to spend so much time on just ensuring that the taxes were filed properly that his whole focus on business was moved up. The smaller business suffered because they couldn't hire large teams just to file GST. The bigger companies didn't have problem. They could hire people and ensure GST is compliant. So frequent filing of returns, managing the digital systems, ensure that you require people to manage the systems as such. And that's the reason small and medium enterprise exited the system. And when they exited, who benefited? The larger players. So this is the second stroke is saying that GST implementation of GST was not proper and it affected the smaller players more, benefited larger players. Third stroke, lockdown this year. So he said lockdown was third problem which happened. So it broke the back of small and medium because they didn't have cash to support their business. I mean, nothing was there, and they automatically most of the companies closed down because lockdown. That's what. So did not have cash reserves to deal with such a big blow, and therefore they suffered a lot. Okay, so who benefit? Automatically, smaller players benefit, then smaller players suffer, and the larger players will benefit because the market, smaller players move out, and automatically larger players will capture more market. He also talks about the report of Economist, which talks about Mukesh Ambani's net worth has gone up by 350% since November 2016. So he's talking from November 2016 to now. Mukesh Ambani has increased his net worth. Same way Gautam Adani has increased their net worth with 750%. I don't think this is a right indicator of talking about what government wants, because normally businesses who do well, they normally the net worth keeps on improving, definitely. So I don't see a correlation of that. But yes, there were really questionable decisions that were taken. One of them was, I remember a very clear case where the Bombay airport was ED was raided, and within 1 month it was sold to Adani Group. Same way, most of the government contracts have gone to either Ambani or Adani, to some extent Tata. So it is a few big groups that have benefited from the whole government orders, etc., which has gone about. Even the telecom sector, if you look at it, most of the decisions that have been taken up by the government have benefited Geo, which is puts the, I mean, including everything, which puts Airtel and the other players in the sidelines. So over a period of time, yes, the government has taken a few decisions that would help few big players, and that's the reason he talks about the network going up. I'm not very for saying only network going up makes government faulty. In that case, if you look at US, Bezos' net worth has gone up very, very high, but Trump and Bezos never get caught along together. So there was no correlation of Bezos' net worth going up and Trump's decision. I don't agree with that part. But yes, there were decisions taken to favor a few businessmen, and that helped them, I believe. Okay, and this increase in the net worth happened when actually the economy was in decline. Economy is going down, and then still the whole improvement happened. He says from December 2020, there was 36 straight month of India's economic growth that has been slowing down. So he's saying from Jan 2018 till today, 36 straight months where the economic growth has slowed down. Overall, the business is going down and down and down for the last 36 months. Which, yes, I mean, nothing much has been done. And this is even before the COVID situation came across. So also there was a government survey which came across which said that people started spending less in 2018 than in 2012. Why would people spend less? Because they were earning less. Why they were earning less? Because some were making more money, the others were making less money. Okay, so the idea of his idea was saying that, well, generally 2018 people were not doing well, and people were earning less. But if you look at in 2019 election, BJP came up as a major, majority. So two things are going about it. Maybe the 2019 election was based on nationalism and maybe on religious groups. That's what happened. So uh, we maybe the elections in India is now moved from economic to maybe other parameters as such. But yes, he said that the overall economy suffered, and we have been going down and down in the last 36 months. Also, he talks about Modi's former advisor Anand Panagriya, who was the advisor. He is complaining about Atmanirbhar. He's saying that the focus of Atmanirbhar is import substitution. Okay, and this has failed before. I mean, this has completely failed before too. So what has happened is Modi has applied tariffs on some of the imported things, like maybe mobile phones and television sets, so that companies manufacturing in India can sell at a higher cost. Now, there are two ways of looking at it. One is you can say that it helps to bring in manufacturing to the country, okay, so that we can manufacture and sell products, so creating jobs. That's one positive point about increasing import tariff. The negative point is that moment you increase import tariff, there is complacency on Indian manufacturers. So they don't have to worry too much about imports, because now they can manufacture at a higher price and sell and still make a profit and still be sell, because then the price will be lesser than the imports. But yes, the former advisor, who is the economist Arvind, he talks about that the tariffs which are put is actually bad because that creates higher cost for consumers. So he's saying it helps industrialists over consumers. Consumers end up paying higher amount of money, and the profit goes to industrialists. That's what he talks about in terms of Atmanirbhar. So he's saying the whole idea is wrong, right? And what happens in this is the selected few are benefited, okay, and the rest will fail. Okay, the selected few will get the benefit of the whole idea, and remaining would then end up failing. So there's a link for the article. You can go through it, read it, understand it, and thank you.